Receive much greetings from me, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a blessed day, one packed with peace and with the goodness that you wish of your life. Something has been a wonder to me, and I don't know whether it is the same with you. Let's wonder and think together, please. When you listen to almost everybody everywhere, everyone thinks that all their problems, all their failures, all the pain that they suffer, all the stumbling blocks are as a result of their fellow man. Everybody is thinking of their neighbor. A wife is blaming her husband the wife. Children are complaining about their parents. Citizens are blaming their presidents. The president is harsh on the citizens, blaming them for not towing the line. Policemen are blaming citizens, policemen. Why? Why are men on each other? Is it true that your problems come from your neighbor, from your fellow man? Look at everywhere. Trump thinks that Khamenei is the very thorn in his flesh. Khamenei is crushing his citizens, thinking that they are making his country ungovernable. Putin is there on Europe, Russia, China. Yeah, everybody sees their fellow human being as the cause of all the problem that they suffer. And they feel that if this person would change to be what the other person thinks, things can work for him. Others would say, if this person died, is eliminated, things will change. But we have seen people eliminated, people changed, people arrested and put under captivity. But problems continue. A wife dies and the husband's problem continues. A husband kills his wife and the problem even increases. Why? Are men truly your problem? Who told you that? Today, I want us to consult with one who is the originator of life, who sees everything. As we read in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 13, everything is bare before his eyes. He sees everything, he knows everything, and who tells us that the problem is not that man you are pointing at. For he says, if only, that is in Isaiah 48 and verse 17, if only you heeded to my voice and kept my commandments and my statutes, then your peace will flow like a river, and your righteousness like the waves of the sea. Remember, he knows everything. So here he's not saying, you are right, that man is your problem. No, he says something else. it is you not going according to the way you were designed. And if only you did that, the goodness, the success, the comfort, the freedom that you look for, you can get. That is His word. How? How? And you can very well see that it is that person who is offending you here, mistreating you here, enforcing his will on you. Then how can God say, if only you heard my voice? What does He mean? Let's hear it, please, from our today's message, His word, which is telling us what He means by that, through the message titled, Satan Comes in the Flesh. Now, are we saying that these human beings are Satan? They are the originators of these evils, as we say? Take it, please. To begin with, God says that this man, that woman, that ruler, that nation, that tribe is not the cause of your problems, is not your stumbling block in life. For reading in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 12, God says that our struggle is not against our fellow human beings. Listen, please. For our fight is not against flesh and blood. In other words, we are not dealing in a physical fight. Even though we may be suffering physically, the cause of that suffering, God is clearly saying that it does not originate with your neighbor. It doesn't originate with your wife, with your parents. It originates from evil spirits, which are right now the rulers of this world. For this world, as we saw, does not belong with God, but it was established by Satan the devil. So here in Ephesians, he's telling us we fight against wicked spiritual hosts of wickedness in this world. Now, how does it happen? And we see men doing us wrong, not Satan. Here comes the mystery, and that is why God in this message has decided to open our eyes to see. For those who have eyes to see, those who have ears to hear, get it, please, if you can. God is not yet through with us, as we saw in other messages, that we are only halfway the course along which He was to take us before we be complete, before we become the human beings He wants us to be. In this physical life, know and understand that your mind, which is physical, cannot produce knowledge. We were created in this physical life to be developed in knowledge, which we will apply to speak and to do the way we do in a process of developing behavior, the behavior that God had in mind. So, we don't know. We are not strong. We are fully dependent on God because the creation process is still on. But it takes a free will choice for God to continue His creation in us. So, in this physical life, without knowledge, without understanding. He placed us here and gave us room to make a choice whether we want to be like him or like Satan, who was already in the world and who up to now is the ruler of this world. And as we know, man listened to Satan. And the present world, the so-called knowledge, is what Satan taught man. And man learned this when he was only on the physical level. A good reason why man cannot talk of spiritual things. They can't understand spiritual things. They think of what can be seen with the eyes. And if you remember, this world is built on the physical. 1 John chapter 2, verse 15. Verse 16, sorry. This world is characterized by the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That is all of us, except for a few who are now learning to withdraw from that lie. All of us walk along those bases. What they see with their eyes, what they desire with their flesh, and they boast about what men would see about themselves. That is the characteristics of the present world, and that is the arena within which every human being lives. So, being that way, after accepting the lie, that lie, man began to style himself as a god. I think we saw that. I don't want to go into that. And who taught him that way? Who taught him to behave in that manner? It is not your maker, the one who knows what you are and what you should be doing. For he accepted a lie that he is complete, that he can produce knowledge. But that which entered into him while in the physical body was not the truth. Get it? So, we read that God is telling you, you are not fighting against flesh and blood, but you are fighting against your neighbor, who is flesh and blood. You are talking about your neighbor. You are talking about your fellow man. They are flesh and blood. What is not happening? If any one of us is not getting this information which we are passing to you, the very teachings on how you can arrive at the peace you want, at the success you are looking for, then God says something about you. In 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4, the God of this world is blocking your mind, has packed your mind with lies about you and what you should be. He has blocked your mind such that this truth we are telling you about the way to peace, the way to freedom, has no room in you because your mind is already filled with lies. And unless that is removed, then I'm just talking to myself. I'm just erring in the air. But I know this word will come to many as a witness. So, the God of this world, after men listening to his lies, has blocked their minds so that the truth cannot enter. That is why you continue at the physical level. That is one point you should get. If you can't understand this godly message, what your maker is telling you about the way to solving your problems, then it is because that lie is packed in your mind, that there is no room for any other information. If you will succeed, you must remove it. How? God will tell you. Now, man in the physical life can only understand the physical things. In the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 5, God explicitly says that a carnal mind that is physical in nature, can only understand, think, and do the physical things. And this is evident with our leaders, with the learned, with the poor, with the rich, with the strong, with the weak. This is evident with the present world. Everybody talks about either man, wealth, things, whatever the eyes can see is what goes into the heart, and the heart desires. It continues that way, and it is what people also pride about. Success, according to this physical life, is achieving materialism and the positions, the placed positions of men, not according to the truth, but according to that lie of Eden. So, because we received a lie, and the knowledge that packed our minds, which we apply in doing the things we do, is a lie about us, then all we think about is what we can see, that man. And that man, since he is deceived, is also thinking that man. Now, when we receive the spirit of Satan, it makes us behave the satanic way. And the Satan is a divisor. He divides people. He collides people. He conflicts everything that man will do, because his aim is that we go by this lie and get destroyed. Now, God tells us that mind is Satan at work in you. For he says, the prince of the power of the air, Ephesians 2, chapter 2, verse 2, is the one who has given this world the spirit that makes men behave the way they do. If you want to understand, this body is an instrument of a spirit at work in you, the one you receive. Reading in Romans chapter 7 and verse, I think 16, 17, do you not know, to the one whom you give yourself to as a slave, to that same one you obey as your master? And we see that your body can be an instrument of righteousness based on obedience to God, or of wickedness based on obedience to Satan. So, at any given time, your mind must be joined with a certain spirit which pumps into you the information you use to live the way you do, to speak the way you do. And it is the way you do that shows us who your master is. Now, the spirit that works in today's world, God calls it the children of disobedience, is that of Satan the devil. And this is why Christ openly told men that you are of your father the devil. Does it mean that the devil created some people? No. He has gotten into their hearts. He is the driving force behind what every man does against God's way. And so, by nature, you have become like Satan himself. And God has told us that He has sealed your mind in a manner that you can't understand the truth. So, being blind and in this flesh, which cannot understand physical things, all you see happening around you is this man who is being used as an instrument by the evil one to do the evil things that are affecting you. What does that mean? Is this not Satan coming in the flesh? In the same way, God also comes in, Christ comes in the flesh in those who obey him. Because in the book of Matthew chapter 10 and verse 40, Christ says, "He who receives one of these little ones receives me, and he who receives me receives the one who has sent me." In other words, after accepting Christ, he makes his dwelling in you. God and the Father makes their dwelling in you. And from that moment, you die. For it reads in Scripture, in the 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 15, "And he died for us, that whoever lives should no longer live for himself, but live for the one who died for you." Saying what? It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And through me and every other servant of God, Christ is coming to you in the flesh. In the same manner, when one accepts Satan's lie, like the world has done, of which he is the ruler, then Satan lives his life in that person, and the evils that you see that man perform, and the mistreatments and whatever the fights, it is Satan coming to you through that man. Why? Because he thinks that being a God, all people should be subject to him. Being a God, all people should listen to him. And because everybody calls themselves God, Satan uses that to mix up the world and bring the chaos that we are seeing. But he sits behind the curtain because he is a liar. He tells you, no, there's no time Satan will tell you, it is me who is operating in that person. Christ will say that. God will say that. But Satan will never tell you, it is me who is operating in that man. He tells you, it is that person. He's very bad. You need to do away with him. He's not even worth living. That is how he makes sure that you see your fellow man, not himself. So, why? Because Ephesians chapter 4 verse 18, he has blinded your minds such that you cannot see him, because you got deceived when you are at your physical level, a level that cannot understand spiritual things. It can only see carnal things. It only knows about the physical life. And if there is any problem that Satan brings through anybody, you don't see Satan, you see the person. Our message today is telling you to change your mind and remove that lie. For what you are seeing is Satan in action. Or haven't you read in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 14? Satan pretends to be the good man, the God who will take you into heights, prosperity, goodness, and peace, freedom. But he is said to disguise himself as an angel of light. And he has captivated the minds of men to behave like him, that crafty behavior, that they come to you as angels of light. They are called his agents. So what you see this man do against you is Satan operating behind the curtains, but he deceives you that it is this man who is working against you. This is why everybody is blaming the other person, because we are blind concerning the spirit world. What does God say that we should do then? Because we need to understand in order to operate with knowledge, because you can't guess about the truth and still do the right thing. Christ said very well in the book of Matthew chapter 12 and verse 34, "A tree is known by its fruit." Satan is known by his behaviors as enlisted in Galatians 5:19 to 21. God is also known by his behaviors. And when Christ is talking about a tree, he doesn't mean just a mere tree. He's talking about your position in the power to differentiate between an agent of Satan and a servant of God. Because by their behaviors, by their deeds, you will know them. Since the fruits of the spirit of Satan are plain, God has revealed them to us. And the fruits of the Spirit of God are also plain. Why should you be deceived as to who the servant of God is and who Satan is, who God is and who Satan is? It is because you are blind concerning the spirit world. Your mind is darkened. You are separated from the only teacher who can tell you what to do, who can show you who Satan is, who can tell you what you are and what is happening in your heart and mind, and who can tell you the right way forward. Do you want to know? Christ says, you will know them by their fruits. And he wants, if you want to know, you must consult with your Maker. Otherwise, in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11, you won't have the right watchfulness, and you'll never know the satanic design which works through men to reach to you. Now that we are instruments of either of the forces of darkness or of the forces of light, how do you go about working yourself in the right way against the evils that we see? God said, beating your fellow man will not change anything. You will only scare me. And unless I have the Spirit of God, I'll go and prepare myself, come back. That is what is happening in the world arena. Everybody is out for revenge. Everybody is out for conquering. Everybody is out to dominate. Who will give in? They only fear if they find themselves weak, but they keep preparing for war. Does that solve the problem? When you deal a blow to that man, are your problems solved? No. God says the Satan who works in you is the cause of all these problems, for he makes you walk against the way you are designed, and you are continually destroying yourself while he teaches you that it is that man who is doing it. Bearing in mind that we do what we know, and what we know comes from the source of your knowledge, the one spirit that has joined with your mind to give you understanding on the way you should live, then what does God say we should do to be on the right track? No one can know the heart of somebody else except that person reveals it to him. We cannot know the way God has designed us and the way we should live except that he reveals it to us. And that he does by giving us of his Spirit. It is the Spirit of God in you that can show you how you can behave or how Satan comes to you through the flesh, because, as we repeat, it is not that person. It is not your wife, not your husband, not your neighbor, not the president, not the citizens, not the policeman. It is that mind which works in you, which makes you assume when it is not true, and you begin to fight the wrong thing. You begin to remove the wrong source, while the source continues to bring more effect into your mind. You are removing your fellow human being, and the Satan who takes a seat on the throne of your mind continues to pump more evils by the way you think, the way you do things, the way you affect your neighbors. So, to begin with, you need to understand that. And once you understand that, you allow God to show you the way. He says, I'm the one who knows the way you should go, the way you should profit. Once you accept my word, then I'm the only one who shows you how to avoid satanic ways, how to avoid your neighbor, because he doesn't say fight him. No, he says avoid them. In the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 somewhere up to 5, men will be this way. Men are this way because they are captivated by that evil, destructive spirit. So, after enlisting all the evils that they do, the way they affect you in an evil way, he says what? Avoid them. He doesn't say imitate them and do the tit for tat. No. Reading in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 12, 11, 12 there, you find that the fruits of the Spirit of God, once you are an instrument of God, you do the works of God. You love, you forgive, you bear with the other one, you change things against the effect of the other side, which is opposite to you. So they say, When you are hated, you love. When you are insulted, you reconcile. When you are slandered, you forgive. You forgo. He talks of the opposite of what Satan does through his agents. When you become the agent of God, he goes the opposite. Is it love? Is it hatred? You love. Is it fight? You appease. Is it insult? You reconcile. Is it slandering? You forgive. You always do according to the spirit that is in you. You will not do according to the spirit that is in that person. Because what happens, the moment you listen to Satan and agree with him, then what happens is that he gives you his spirit, and at that point you reject God's spirit, you suppress God's spirit and operate with that spirit which Satan has injected in you, using this man, deceiving you. It is this man who has angered you. It is this man who has meant you to fail, when it is not. God cannot give you a spirit of anger. The Spirit of God does not produce hatred. The Spirit of God does not produce wars. It is the spirit of Satan. So how come that a godly person will get angry, will get hateful, will get divisive, will boast, will gossip, will commit adultery? You listen to the voice of that other one, because in the same way we are broadcasting this goodness of God by the gospel, Satan is also broadcasting through his agents. So when they kind of impact you with their evil behaviors, mistreat you, the moment you are not watchful, he pumps his spirit in you. And then he will tell you it is that person, because he is a liar. And once you accept that lie, you block yourself from the godly spiritual way of reasoning. You begin to reason in the flesh. You commit adultery. You beat this man. You hate them. Know and understand that at that point, it is Satan operating in you. You have accepted him and allowed him to lie to you that it is that person. He wants you guys to hate, to fight, and to kill each other, because he is a liar and a murderer. So, Satan comes to you through his agents, and God is telling you in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13, be watchful, be firm in your faith, be courageous. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 7, for the devil is like a roaring lion, restless. He roams around, even using his agents, using your flesh, captivating your mind, looking for a place in your mind to captivate you, to make you go the evil way. God says, be watchful. Watch your heart with all diligence, for it is from there that the issues of life come. Resist him, firm in your faith, fully convinced that what God says is what life is about. Don't give in to other thoughts. And once we do that, God is there to confirm his word. God is there now to defend his way of life. Once you accept to become his tool and resist that idea Satan is giving you about that person, then you will realize that this person is not the one who is doing it. In the same way, you will realize right now that I am not the one who is speaking to you. God is speaking in me. This kind of wisdom does not originate from me. This kind of power and the words that I speak are not mine. I am reporting from your Maker through Christ by His Spirit. So, in the same way, Satan uses men and they report from him by His Spirit. Now, once you know that, will you turn from tuning to God, listen to Satan, and do his will against your neighbor? That is when you become blind and miss the mark. For it is Satan coming to you in the flesh, coming to you using that person. Understand him and don't give in to his suggestions. Continue steadfast in the faith. Don't give him room in your mind, and you will love your enemies as you love yourself. Because as Christ showed an example, Christ and Stephen, when they were dying, they had no hatred, no bitterness against the people who were torturing them. They said, "Forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." It is the ruler of this world fighting you through his agents. Once you know that, then you will not fight against flesh and blood, your fellow human. You will defend your mind so that Satan doesn't get room. You will always cry to God for more strength so that His Spirit occupies your mind, so that Satan finds no room in it. That way, you will succeed, and God will fight for you. For the Spirit that works in the people of God is more powerful than the Spirit that works in the agents of Satan. There is no way they can overcome you. You will overcome, not by might, nor by armies, but by God's Spirit, which is more powerful than anything you can think about in the entire universe. For by it, the universe stands, and everything in the universe is manned by that power. God speaks and they happen. You live in God, He will speak and you will move against Satan's wills. At times, He will allow even men to mistreat you, to persecute you, because He wants to cement His knowledge in you, such that even at the point of death, you will listen to His voice. Brethren, this is how Satan comes in the flesh. Will you continue to blame your neighbor instead of seeing Satan's designs coming to you and not forgetting, abiding with God? Happy are you if you have ears to hear, and to hear this and do it. For Satan is coming to you in the flesh. It is not that person, it is him. You will know him by the behaviors that you see in that person. You will also know if you have given in to him by the way you behave. Bursts of wrath, anger, hatred, gossip, adultery, drunkenness, name it. Don't say you can't know. You can know by the fruits. Watch out, for Satan is coming to you in the flesh. But we are not dealing in the flesh if the Spirit of God is in us. Dealing in the Spirit, we are dealing with the Spirit world, with Satan himself, not his agents. We love his agents, we hate him. Peace be to as many as are of this mind.